To build anything that truly lasts, it takes time.
Is the latest as far as the probe report of Air India's plane is concerned. Boeing Dreamliner that crashed in Ahmedabad in the month of June. It was AI-171 flight that crashed within seconds after takeoff. And just a couple of days ago, the investigating authority here, AAIB, has released a preliminary report. And what we have seen is more questions emerging after that preliminary report came out than us getting answers as to who was responsible for this crash. We got to know through this report what led to this crash, but who was responsible, that still remains unanswered as a question. Now, because of certain things that we saw in this preliminary report, there is speculation around the world that we are seeing happening, wherein the blame is being put on the pilots here. Pilot error is being seen as a major cause here, even though the report does not mention any such thing. The Minister of Civil Aviation, other people from the Ministry of Civil Aviation all want us to actually wait for the entire investigation to get over, and then only we will get to know what really, who really was responsible for this crash. But viewers, even before that, even as the probe is continuing, we are seeing Western media putting the blame on the pilots here, and specifically the senior pilot here. Now, seeing this, we have seen massive outrage among Pilots Association, and all this after Wall Street Journal cited a cockpit recording of dialogue between the two pilots of the Air India flight that crashed last month. It indicates the captain cut the flow of fuel to the plane's engines. Pilot associations, one after the other, have come out and issued statements while questioning selective approach here. Let's tell you what the Pilot Association has said. Federation of Indian Pilots. Let's explain to you what it has said after this report on, the blame being put on the pilot came out. Now, Federation of Indian Pilots has put out a statement saying assigning blame before thorough, transparent probe is premature as well as irresponsible. Apart from that, it also mentions that AAIB report lacks comprehensive data. Like I was mentioning earlier, only some parts are being mentioned here, and these have led to speculations around the world. For example, the conversation that happened between both the pilots, only paraphrased version of one part of the conversation has been put in this particular report, and this is what Federation of Indian Pilots has highlighted. Relying selectively on paraphrased CVR to suggest pilot error, and this is what we are seeing happening. And at the same time, the Federation of Indian Pilots mentions that speculative commentary undermines trained crew members, highly professional crew members. And let me now go across to my colleague Sabyasachi, who is joining us live right now for more on this. Sabyasachi, this is the statement that we've got from the Federation of Indian Pilots, raising questions on how the blame is being put on the pilots in this particular case, even as the investigation is going on. Firstly, can you take our viewers through the claims that have been made by the report that has come in Wall Street Journal?
Well, that's right. See, time and again, claims has been made by the Wall Street Journal, especially if you look at the foreign media, though now the Western media time and again has been attempting to blame the pilot. Now in the latest report of the Wall Street Journal, they have trying to blame the captain, that the captain had cut off the fuel control switch. Now on this hand, we had seen that a strong reaction had come in from the pilot body, where the pilot body has emphasized to the point that time and again there has been attempts from the Western media to blame everything on the pilot, and they have urged the citizen of the country as well as media and other stakeholders not to believe such reports, as the investigation is still on the initial phase. Now, as per the government sources also tell us that we should not speculate about the preliminary report, as if you see the preliminary report, it has just been mentioned about the cockpit voice recorder and just a small chunk of the conversation where both the pilots deny the fact that they haven't manually cut off the fuel control switch. But the Western media time and again have been trying to emphasize that there is no fault as far as the Boeing is concerned. This is a human error because of which the fatal accident has taken place. Now the pilot body has emphasized that time and again blaming such pilots, such highly trained pilots, and also will create a distress among the family members of the pilot as well as the crew members who have lost their life in this fatal accident.
Now, Sabyasachi, all of this demands transparency from the government. All of this demands transparency from AAIB as well. Have we heard anything from the government yet, from the Ministry of Civil Aviation, from AAIB, about the claims that are being made in this particular global media report?
Well, see, as of now, the government has not come out in open or have made a statement regarding the report that has come out on Wall Street Journal. Now, this is not the first time that such leaks have happened from the investigator side to the Wall Street Journal. In fact, before the preliminary report came into public, the Wall Street Journal already had said that because of fuel control switch being cut off, that could have possibly led to the fatal accident. Now, the government sources tell us that these are speculations. The actual report, the actual findings are going to come out. It is going to take a year for the actual report to come out, what exactly led to the fatal accident, and they have asked all these stakeholders not to speculate. But the ministry have not come out in open and have criticized the Western media for the leaks that is continuously happening.
Right.
They have not released any official statement till now based on the Western media reports that are coming in.
Right. Sabyasachi, request you to stay on with us. And now we would like to highlight for our viewers an incident that took place in the year 2019. Something similar, viewers, happened in 2019 as well, and pilots never touched the fuel switch. I'm talking about an incident that took place on 17th of January 2019. Even that was a Boeing 787 Dreamliner. And why I'm saying that there is a similarity between both these incidents: one, it was the same particular model of Boeing, and this also suffered a dual engine failure. And the probe report has revealed that pilots never ever touched the fuel switch in this particular case. So the question really is that it has happened in the past as well, and it was in fact a Tokyo-Osaka flight, and it was all Nippon Airways airline, and this also suffered a dual engine failure. It was flight NH985, fuel was cut off, flight was about to land. So that was the difference here. In this particular example that we're talking about of 2019, the flight was about to land. However, the situation was slightly different when it came to the Air India flight, from Ahmedabad that crashed, because it was about to take off. Seconds after takeoff, it suffered an engine failure, a dual engine failure. But here in this case also, fuel supply to the engine was cut off. And as per reports, what we have learned is that fuel switch transitioned on its own. This is what the probe report has found. So that brings us to another question, that if in the past, with a similar model of Boeing, the fuel switch transitioned on its own, why can it not happen in this Ahmedabad plane crash, the Air India flight AI-171 that crashed? Why a certain section of society is jumping to conclude that it was the pilot error? That's the point we would like to highlight here. You know why this is important? Because the government wants us to believe what they have put out in public domain so far. And then you have certain media reports suggesting that it was indeed a pilot error. Are they jumping to conclusions? If not, then why is the government not coming out and bringing some clarity on this particular issue? Because this is about human lives that we are talking about. 260 people, viewers, lost their lives because of this particular plane crash. 241 out of 242 inside the plane, and the rest who were outside, who were there on the ground when this plane crashed. Now, the probe in this particular incident, viewers, has revealed that Boeing 787 software glitch led transition in fuel switch. So if there was a software glitch at that time, why are are we ruling out a software glitch during this particular flight? The probe found that software issue actually caused TCMA to shut off fuel to the engines. Why are we ruling out this particular aspect is the question that many are asking today. Because in the report, in the preliminary report, viewers, the recommendation part is extremely important. Even though after looking at the initial details, the investigating authority has not made any sort of recommendations, and this line is specifically mentioned. No recommendation for the airline, for the aircraft maker as well as the engine maker. The question is why? When in the past we have seen software glitches causing TCMA to shut off fuel to engines, why is that being ruled out in this particular case? And these are some of the questions that need to be answered. We're waiting for AAIB to come out with a statement, perhaps maybe a press conference. That's what is going to bring more clarity on this particular issue. And we'll of course be tracking this story closely ahead as well.